Lombardinos, and we're here in Madison, Wisconsin on the COVID-19 lockdown, and we are going to make some fresh pasta today. I'm going to make an egg dough, show you how we rest and roll that, make the dough, and then we're going to make an Amatriciana sauce with that using GUANCIALE, which is a great cured hog jowl, and that's going to go with some crushed tomatoes, red onions, pecorino romano, and some chilies. And thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoy it. The dough we're going to make for our fresh pasta today is 2 ingredients. We have eggs. I have some local large eggs, and then pasta making flour. This is called 00 flour. It's from Italy. The brand we use is made by a company called Caputo, type 00. This is a very soft, very well milled flour, very fine. And we use this for pasta making and for our pizza dough at the restaurant, Lombardino's. So to get started, I'm gonna weigh out all my ingredients. Scale, and I'm gonna weigh out my flour for this. I just put my bowl on there, zero that out, and I need 1 pound of this soft 00 flour. Now I need eggs. I would like to get 9 ounces of eggs. So I'm gonna crack these eggs and weigh them up. So this is 5 eggs, and I'm just a little bit over 9 ounces, so I'm gonna take a little bit, scoop a little bit of white out of there, and I'm perfect at 9 ounces. So all we need to make our pasta is a fork. This is a bench knife or a bench scraper. We have our eggs, our 1 pound of 00 flour, and then some plastic cling wrap. My 1 pound of flour out onto my counter. I'm gonna make a well. So we just wanna hollow out the center here. Try to keep it as even as possible. And we're gonna put our eggs into the center of this well, and I'll show you how we bring this dough together. Now I take my eggs, 9 ounces, beat them up with a fork. And then they're gonna go into the center of my well. And I'll show you how I gradually pull in a little bit of flour at a time to get this dough going. You just keep working it, pulling a little bit from the walls as you move around until you get a nice thick dough starting. You're gonna try to keep all the eggs in the middle. You don't wanna have a breach of your defenses there and have a hole in your wall. If it happens, it's not the end of the world, but it's not the goal. So I kind of work it around. It's starting to thicken up, come together. And we're gonna work as much of this flour into this egg as it'll take. So my eggs have taken on quite a bit of the flour. And now I'm gonna switch over to my bench knife and I'm gonna bring this all together. It'll form kind of a shaggy dough as I scrape it up. A little bit like a biscuit dough, they say. Just kind of work it all together. Very soft. And now I'm gonna start by hand getting in there. Try to work this all together into a dough. Working all the flour in as I go, turning it over on itself with the heels of my palms. It's coming up into a nice dough. And we'll try to get as much of the flour in as it'll take, but not more than it needs. It won't take all of it, but almost all of it. Alternating on the palms of my hands. Pushing away from yourself and folding it back in on itself. This dough for about 4 minutes. It's come together nicely. There's still a little excess flour and egg here on my bench. I'm gonna scrape that up and get rid of it. Now I've cleaned up my countertop. Got rid of all the excess flour and egg. Washed my hands up real good. And then I returned to my dough. And I'm going to continue kneading for another 5 minutes. It's a little bit of a workout. Upper body. Again, keep pushing away from yourself, alternating with the heels of each palm. It's a slightly tacky dough, but it's coming together really nicely. And just 2 ingredients. When I finish here, I'll wrap it up and let it rest. Dough has been kneaded. Now we need to let it rest, let all the gluten we've developed kind of come to a rest in there before we roll it out. So I'm gonna form this into a ball, pinching that bottom shut, kind of spinning here, rolling that into a ball. It's really nice and soft. And then we're gonna cover it with a sheet of this cling film, fully wrapped up, nice and tight, and let it rest for about 2 hours. So this is something you can make in the morning and you have it ready for dinner. This is my dough. It's been rested for about 3 hours. I'm gonna just cut it into quarters. I'm gonna work with 1/4 of it at a time. We'll keep the other 3/4 nicely wrapped and use just enough flour, not more than you need, just barely enough so that it doesn't stick. We're gonna roll this into a little circle, and then I'll show you how we roll it out. I rolled my pasta out into a long sheet, and now I'm just going to cut it by hand. I'm going to square it off a little bit. All those little leftover pieces we can boil up, those will be for the cook, a little snack. And these I'm going to roll into some thick ribbons here. I'm going to take a little bit of flour on my hands, and I'm just going to keep these lightly coated with flour in a little nest, and they'll be ready to go in the pot. So I rolled out that first batch of pasta by hand with my wooden rolling pin, and then I'm going to do a little bit easier version using my pasta rolling machine made in Italy here. Got that for about $40, and what you do is you take your little ball of dough, just roll it a little bit to flatten it, and you want to open this to its widest setting. And we'll roll that dough through. Then I'm going to fold it over on itself. This is called laminating the dough. This is going to help strengthen all the gluten that we built up with all that kneading. And we'll do that 2 times. Roll it over one more time on itself, making like a little envelope there. Put that through on that widest setting. And I'll put it through again. And then I'll just keep decreasing the width. I want to get this down till it's thin enough that I can see my hand through it. Put together a quick Amatriciana sauce to go with our fresh pasta tonight. We're still cooking under the COVID-19 lockdown, so we're cooking with what we had on hand. Normally, this is one of the Roman pastas that's prepared with spaghetti or bucatini, sometimes even rigatoni. Rarely with fresh pasta like this, but we had eggs and flour, so we made some fresh pasta. And the sauce is normally made with red onions, guanciale, that cured pork jowl from the butchers of Amatriciana, a city just outside of Rome, and San Marzano tomatoes. So red onion, a little bacon, and San Marzano tomatoes. Today I have the guanciale and the red onions, but I don't have any cans of tomatoes, so I'm going to use some fresh little cherry tomatoes. We'll break those down in the pan with some calabrese chili bomba, which is a puree of fermented chilies from southern Italy. Usually this dish has a little pinch of chili, but I really like that fermented flavor. To build my sauce, I'm going to start with just a light coat of extra virgin olive oil. In a large pan over a medium flame, I'm going to add my guanciale, and we're going to crisp this up nice and slow. Now, if you don't have guanciale, you can use pancetta. If you don't have pancetta, a little smoked bacon or even some ham would be great in here. Boil some of this pasta in some generously salted water. Our dough had no salt in it, it's just eggs and flour. So we're going to add this in. You can hear our neighbor kids yelling in the background. And this is just going to take a few minutes, and we'll have ourselves a portion of pasta. So to make a portion of our Amatriciana, I'm going to scoop some of this sauce that we made, those tomatoes have cooked down nicely, into a small saute pan over a medium flame. And I'm going to thin it out with just a little bit of the starchy pasta water that we have. I'm going to bring that up to a simmer. So I had this dish in Tuscany once, and they added just a little drop of a nice balsamic vinegar. So put a little bit of that in there, and I'm going to finish the sauce with a little pat of butter. We're just going to swirl that in, and then we're going to take our pasta, our freshly cooked pasta, right into the pan. Toss it just to coat. We just want to stain that pasta with a bit of the sauce. Toss it through, let it all come together. Fresh pasta with a nice Amatriciana sauce, a little bit of Pecorino Romano, and a splash of olive oil over the top. This is delicious pasta that you can make simply in your own kitchen, and I really hope you dig it. Thanks for watching.